Ham here, and what you see before you is a set of 3 pistols, 2 of them Rugers, 1 of them Beretta, all of them in .22 caliber, all of them magazine fed. And of course the gun that I'm speaking of is the Ruger SR22. And there's a close-up for you. Now, the Ruger SR22 is a great design. I kind of like it. It blends a lot of elements of other firearms that I truly enjoy, and I've shot it a lot. And I hate it for only one reason: that when I am shooting it, the hammer comes back and it bites on my hand. Even if I cinch down on it, it still does that. So let me go over the other features that I am happy with, and we'll give you a good rundown here. Obviously the gun is clear. The obvious differences are in size. There's some other big differences. I'll go over the magazine since I have those in hand. This holds 7 rounds. Almost impossible to grab. You have to use your thumbnail, if you have a thumbnail or something like that, to grab the little nub on there to load assist. You kind of have to push each one down. Now the Mark II had a good nub on the side that you can grab and pull down, and it made loading easier, but you still kind of needed a tool to go over there, or else you're still fumbling with your thumb to hold it down. It was a bit difficult. And this one had a heel magazine release. Of course the Beretta had a not a base magazine, but the magazine release was at the bottom of the grip versus at the top for the modern Rugers and like for the 1911. What Ruger did with the SR22 is they adopted a real neat design. And what I like about it is the rims stack and they kind of pooch out a little bit here. That gives you the same capacity in this magazine as you have in the much longer Mark II magazine. This is a 10 round capacity, although people have modded them for 11 and 12 rounds. But we'll say that from the factory they're both 10 round magazines, and you can see how much difference there is in length. Huge advantage. Also, you've got this large area that you grab with your thumb and forefinger, and it's real slick and real easy to use and to load. You don't need a magazine loading tool with this. It's you just basically hold it in your hand and you're good to go. On to the guns. Obviously 3 different designs, but the reason I brought them out here is kind of to give you an idea size-wise. The Beretta is obviously significantly shorter, and the barrel length is shorter, and the overall length is shorter. I mean, it's a tiny gun. It does appear to be about the same width. The grip may be a little bit narrower on the Ruger, and it feels narrower, but you can get a 2-finger purchase on this. A normal person like myself, normally large person, can even get a two-finger grip on it. Double action trigger pull. The Ruger Mark II is only a single action. These other 2 pistols are double action. Then on to the Ruger. Still only a 2-finger grip. Now with a larger magazine, which I happen to have one sitting over here, you can get a 3-finger grip on it, which is nice. Aluminum slide, steel bolt. So height-wise, you might think you're getting something with the Ruger SR22 over the Mark II, but it's identical in height. You know, the main difference is in the grip angle, which is steeply raked for the Mark II. Lengthwise, of course, the barrel starts here on the SR22 and it starts here on the Mark II, but of course the barrel is much shorter in the SR22. Well, it comes with 2 magazines and a total of 4 base pads. Now the magazines have these small base pads installed as they come from the factory, and the small base pad is just a little bit too small for comfort for me. My finger's hanging over the edge there, even though I can get 3 fingers on it, so I prefer the larger ones. And it doesn't add too much to the length of the magazine. We're talking just a little nibble. It's not a whole lot, but it makes a big difference in terms of how the gun feels. And you'll see I just released it from the right side, where a lefty would use their thumb to release it, but it's ambidextrous. So you can also release it where a right-handed person will release it. And also, while I've got the magazine, it has a magazine safety. So in order to fire the gun, you have to have the magazine in. It's also got a thumb safety. Now, with the hammer cocked, when you put the safety on, by pushing it down, it decocks the hammer. So that could be a way to practice to shoot double action if you want to decock it. In my opinion, it should be the other way around, because I grew up on 1911s. You should sweep the safety off, so putting it on fire down, but this is completely opposite. The one positive I could say is it gets out of the way of your thumb and your trigger finger. So it's not in the way when you use it that way. So that's a positive. Yeah, so ambidextrous safety, only a righty slide release, although that's fine by me. It has a grip that is interchangeable. It comes with another smaller grip installed. And the first thing I did, since I've got a large hand, was change out the grip. You can see the grip is on this one is got basically a real shallow profile to it, and this one's got a much deeper profile to it. But up top here, where it really counts, there's no change in it, so it doesn't change where your trigger finger is. It just kind of fills your hand up a little more, and it changes the point of aim. With the bigger one, it makes it point a little bit higher, which is what I prefer. It's fairly easy to change out if you're used to working with a soft, plasticky kind of material like this is. It's not rubber. The trigger is odd. When you have the magazine out, the trigger is just mushy. It doesn't have any spring return on it or anything. It's just real seriously mushy. Don't like that at all. But with the magazine in, of course, it's good. I guess the advantage to that is when you go to start taking up the slack, you'll know if there's a magazine in it because it's real obvious. The front side is plastic, which I'm okay with, but it's really dehorned and angular, and it doesn't get caught on a whole lot, so that's kind of a good thing. And it looks to be tough enough, easy enough to replace. The rear sight seems flimsy, very little, I mean, almost no spring pressure at all on the elevation. But it is fully adjustable, which is good because I needed to sight it in for a point of impact. I do like that. The hammer and the trigger are both, I believe, metal injection molded parts, but I could be wrong. I don't know exactly how they make them, but they seem too smooth. I can't get hardly any purchase on it. The grooves on the hammer are just ridiculously small and ineffectual at actually, biting your thumb. So you can't actually cock it with that part. You've got to start by cocking it there, and then you've got to push down the rest of the way. As far as takedown, there's this little latch here. You just push the little latch down at any time, and it swings down and through the trigger guard like that. And then you pull the slide back, and with the slide all the way back, you just lift up on the back and let it slide forward off the gun. And immediately you'll notice this spring. It's a very high quality plastic, but the spring doesn't fall off. It's got enough tension on the guide rod to not fall off like that. It's a little tricky to get it in the right place. The belled out end goes into the slide there when you're reassembling, and then you kind of have to fumble around with it to get it right. Now, onto the slide. Some features I like about the slide: they've got an aluminum slide, but this whole block here is steel. This whole assembly with the extractor, the plunger safety, the firing pin, all of that is steel, and it's held in with this little roll pin here. I do like that because the face of the bolt and all of the working parts and the goodies in there, those are all a high quality steel, and they're unlikely to wear. And in fact, with, I don't know, about 300 rounds through this, I don't see any appreciable wear or any wear at all. So I haven't actually taken that out of the gun. It's not meant to be disassembled. It's meant to just stay the way it is. I occasionally get some lead buildup on in this area. You just have to rub with a good solvent. gently for a little while, and that comes right off. Don't scrape it with anything metallic. That wouldn't help you any. So fairly lightweight, and that's about what you need for a 22 cartridge. There is a, if you look inside of there, right there, bolt there, and that is for taking off the barrel. If you need to take down the barrel, that's very easy. You just get in there with an Allen key, and you can loosen it, and the barrel comes off fairly easy. To replace it, if you want to change it out for a threaded barrel, if yours didn't come originally with a threaded barrel like mine. The subframe here is all aluminum. You've got the ejector here, which is pinned to that little held in with that little screw there. Ejector is steel. You've got this little drawbar here. That's steel. And there's a little pivot point right here. You can see when you push the magazine release in, maybe you can't see. There you go. There's that little, I'm going to try and get a good shot of this, if it will focus right. There's that little pivot inside. You can see that kind of flopping out of the way, and that just engages the front right here. That's where the magazine catch goes in and catches the magazine. Okay, so one other feature I wanted to point out on this is it had a threaded barrel from the factory. We'll go into, first of all, everything that comes with the gun. It comes with this case, which is actually kind of handy. I've taken it out to the range a few times. Of course, here's your two spare magazine base plates, your Massachusetts case. I think it's Massachusetts, maybe Maryland, but they require the case. Also in the case comes a wrench, and this is your thread adapter for 1/2 by 28 by about 400 thousandths length on the threaded adapter there, so you can put a suppressor on it. And I'll have videos here with it shooting suppressed. Lefty loosey. There's also a company out there that makes aftermarket barrels that have a completely different thread twist. Since Ruger includes their adapter on it, there's no real need to get another adapter. It works well for everything you need it to. Of course, you only want to put the threaded adapter on once the slide is on, because you can't get the slide off with the adapter on. I've had a few issues with the adapter kind of locking up on my suppressor, so I'd taken to, in my 4 or 5 range sessions with it, I'd taken to making sure I have the wrench and some other tools in order to unlock everything from everything else. But that's what you get. You see it's gotten some use. I just cleaned it, but it's gotten some use out of it, putting on and off the suppressor. Putting it back together is just a matter of, I like to put the spring in first and then kind of fidget with it in order to get it to where it needs to be. Okay, now I have the hammer back. Now it's right. And then put the little tab thing up there. Function check it a few times, and of course it doesn't have a magazine in, so it won't fire. But fairly easy to dismount and reassemble. Kind of like the Walther PPK, except a little bit simpler. It's more akin to the Sauer Model 38H, which I'll also be posting a review for within the next year or so. But there you have it. It's a Ruger SR22. Again, I'll be posting a link to the shooting videos here, so you can see it shooting with and without a suppressor. The only fault I could find with the pistol was that it just doesn't fit me. It is a size medium, and I need a size large. I think Ruger could have corrected this and just add a beaver tail and bob the hammer, because the hammer is worthless. You can't cock it anyways. It's pretty much useless. Just use the slide to cock it, and you're fine. Decock. You know, it's a pain to cock unless you know the trick, basically, or else you're going to be hurting yourself. And then your gun would be perfect, and I would buy it again. Not this one, though. This one's going to find a home with somebody else, and they're going to be happy because reliability on this has been excellent. They're going to love it. Personally, I love everything about it except for that. And this is Ryan Ham. If you enjoyed this video, please like, favorite, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. And there will be more in the future. Stay tuned. Bye.